All right, you guys, welcome. This is Training Talk Episode 1. Today I'm going to be touching on what is the best way or the best style of training to attain better conditioning. Now, the most fluid way that I've ever been able to show this is by drawing out a graph on a whiteboard or writing out on a sheet of paper and then explaining to somebody how to get better conditioning. Now, the thing to remember is that when we're doing a conditioning, whether it's a typical Metcon, interval training, long, slow endurance style piece, the thing to remember about getting better conditioning from that is keeping in mind that when we start doing something, we start creating power. We start a specific power output when we start moving our bodies, right? It's a good way to look at it. Now, another way to throw a variable into that is to think about it in a sense of having time attached to it. Now, so let's push into this a little bit further. Let's think this is your current level of capacity. This is the maximum amount of power that you can currently create. All right, so this is you going, as hard as you can for essentially a short duration or whatever you want to say. And that's the maximum amount of power that you're able to put out. So let's take and let's look at this across different various forms of workouts, and then I'll offer a principle to you to help you to understand how to increase this a little bit better. So let's take a workout like 5 rounds of 7 thrusters and 7 burpees, right? Let's say you just go at that as hard as you can, right? Which is what a lot of people do. You start out, workout starts, power output goes way up, you go over top of your capacity line, you chill for a second, and then all of a sudden power tanks and you suffer, okay? So this right here is all the suffering and pain that happens. This is you holding on through, maybe this is round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the workout is over, right? You flirted with your capacity one time, and then you essentially just held on mentally, which is a good form of training sometimes too, but then you just held on mentally the rest of that workout. So let me give you some principles, like I said, on what I believe the best way to increase capacity. All right, so that first example was 5 rounds of 7 thrusters and then 7 burpees. So what if we approached it in this manner? Workout starts, we start with a consistent pace, we get just under our capacity, and then we ride that line. And then over time, maybe we fall off a little bit. But if you look at this compared to the up and the drop, power output was maintained significantly higher, longer throughout that same 5 rounds, right? So the thing to remember and why that's so profound and why that's so important is because the amount of times that you flirt with your capacity, the amount of times you get just under this number, the amount of times you do that and the total time that you do it for is the best way to increase that ceiling and make it go up. Meaning your total capacity, your total ability to create power goes up, okay? So let's take that same variation and let's say that we decide to put a rest period in between. Workout starts, we do our 5, let's say we do a minute rest in between each round. We do our 7 and 7, then we rest. This is work. This is rest. Then this is your minute rest. Goes up, you start your second round, you flirt with the line, you rest. Again, round 3, power goes up, you work, you rest. Right. Now, thing to consider. Maybe we take that workout, we put a minute rest in between each time. Now you have flirted with your capacity line more frequently and allowed a good rest period in between, and your total power, this would go on for 4 rounds, right? Or for 5 rounds. Your total power output, how long you stayed there, was higher, significantly longer than in that first variation, which is when you run yourself into the meat grinder and then you die, okay? So if we took this and we stretched it out across an AMRAP or something like that, let's take a 20-minute AMRAP here. This isn't as racing as nice as I would like it to. So let's take an approach to a 20-minute AMRAP. And I talk about this a lot when I'm coaching or programming, is 20-minute AMRAP starts, power goes up, we get just under that line, and then we try to maintain. Or maybe we have certain parts of that workout where we back off on purpose. Come down, go back up. Maintain, maintain, go down, go back up. But you can see on average, that power was significantly higher than the initial variation, which is running yourself into the ground. So, thing to consider, if you're trying to increase your conditioning and your capacity in any style conditioning workout, the goal is to maintain a better pace for as long as possible so that you can help to approach that capacity line for as long as possible so that eventually that ceiling raises a little bit. Hope this makes sense. This is the true way to train for better conditioning.